Hey, I needed to make a quick video regarding just how things have changed so much, and not just the fact of prices. I mean, prices are outrageous. I remember when I was younger, that wasn't that long ago. You could go put a quarter into a drink machine and get a drink. Now it's $1 and then or $2. It's insane. And times have changed so much that does anyone else feel that they just want to go back and just, if anyone from the 90's and early 2000s era want to go back? I remember watching VHS tapes, and I would put them into the player that was in the TV, and the sound that you'd hear when it came on, and then that sound at the very end, it just, you can even everything that I don't even know. I can't put it into words. I cannot put it into words. I want to. I mean, it it almost makes you emotional thinking back how where has the time gone? Things have changed so much, and the people are not the same. Not only the fact that times are so difficult that we're financially struggling insanely more than we've ever struggled. It's not just the fact that we're deep in the negatives financially, and we owe lots of it just to get by. And payments, it's like, how are we going to make these payments? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? But in the 90's and early 2000s, it wasn't that expensive. Things weren't outrageous like they are today. You can't even buy a roast. You're lucky to buy burger meat, ground beef. And they're supposed to go up 33% more? What? I mean, what are people going to do? But I can remember. But anyway, back to that. I can remember going from VHSs, and then when it switched over, and I wanted the Grinch for Christmas on DVD, and my parents were like, Mama said, you don't even have a DVD player, but we got the Grinch, and it was that really kind of cool raised up DVD where you could just feel of it as it was like a felt. I don't know how to explain it. It was interesting. It felt so magical. Everything felt so much different as a child. But I know the Bible says to give up childish things, but it just seems so it's almost like a place that you can go inside your mind and you want to go back, but you can't. I don't know how to explain to you all how badly that I really just want to go back to just, and some parts of it. I had awful teachers, horrible. I hated school. I had some kind of mean teachers and pretty hateful teachers, very, very hateful teachers. But I had a couple of good ones, a few good ones too. But they were pretty kind of just, they were not very nice. But the times that I had with some of my friends in school and on the playground, or just some days we had days off. I remember in fourth and fifth grade, we had a free day, and I brought my Game Boy Advance SP to school, and Michael kept playing that thing like crazy. And we played Danny Phantom, the Ultimate Enemy, and he did most of the playing. And we kept going back and forth, and it was really fun. That I brought a Cartoon Network cartridge that had shows on it, just like an SD card would now, or streaming. And I played those videos, and it was amazing that a cartridge could hold those shows, but it held about 44 minutes of content. And this friend of mine wanted me to bring Pokemon, so I got that just for that purpose. I had a Pokemon card. I don't know where the heck it went, but I had one. I never was into that. Never was into Pokemon. But A lot of people were. I remember getting one card because someone traded it or gave it to me, and there was another one that I wanted from the store really that because they wanted me to get it, and it was like, well, I wanted to have it too, so I got it. I was like, I got it. And but there was just you could rent movies and rent shows like it shows there, Blockbuster or Hollywood Video. There was a Planet Video, Captain Video. There was another one that was called Sam Goody. I would always want to go and look in the used section of Sam Goody, and I would get the Fairly Odd Parents or Jimmy Neutron DVDs if I could find them, and some music CDs at the time. Slinkies, man, that's something that no one now will know. Portable CD players. That was your music streaming, was portable CD players. Then it became my Sony Walkman MP3 player was the hit for me. It was it. Back then you would go on websites and download music, and then right click, save as, download. You'd wait for a long time, sometimes 3 hours. Our internet was so bad you'd wait 3 hours, sometimes even longer for a show, one episode to download. And you would click download, and it took like 6 hours sometimes for that. And I remember back in 2012, 13, 14, about 14, 15 maybe, it took up to 4 hours for me to upload a video back then. I remember there was something that people don't remember probably, and that was the 20Q, 20 question. It was amazing how you could think of something, answer 20 questions, and it would get it right most of the time, not always. They had a thing where you've got mail, Yahoo there. I never really did have internet back then, but some kids did. I remember I didn't get internet until about 2009 or 10. And at that time, it was a big deal, and fiber didn't come about till later for us in our area. And I remember them switching from DVDs and VHSs, and I remember when Blu-ray came out, and then everyone had videos that you could download from the internet onto MP3 players, and I had videos that I watched on the player because there wasn't enough data for streaming, and you didn't have enough speed for that. So I would have shows on a player, and maybe a Scooby-Doo movie that I had gotten from a digital copy that you actually had to put a disc in the computer and rip it or download it to the computer, and then put it onto your MP3 player. I had a Sansa, but those kept messing up, so I wound up getting a SanDisk. That didn't work. Then I wound up getting a Sony Walkman. Best player I ever had. I had 3 of them with different music on them and shows, different videos. There were various websites that I downloaded them from. But then it went from that to having a portable DVD player. When I was little, I had this DVD player you'd carry around, and even a portable TV. It was a Philips, and before that it was another brand I can't remember. And I wanted a portable Blu-ray player, but didn't get one. Those were too expensive. And I remember they had a this Video Now that came out, and that was a big deal during my childhood. Every little bump made it go psh, psh, like that, would mess up. The Video Now XP, and it was color. The ones before that were black and white. But we actually watched it and enjoyed it. I mean, I would adjust the color. It was horrendous in modern terms, but it was actually enjoyable to carry these discs around. And it was just another marketing tactic, though, to get parents to buy something for their children. I remember I wanted one of these things where you could message people. I can't remember what it was called. It was almost like a phone, but it wasn't. It was like a message pad, and it would text people across the room. They told us not to have those. I never did get one, but they told us not to have it. People thought it was a big deal to have a label maker and label things, a personal label maker. And I remember ninth grade, this boy in the gym, he had a satellite phone. A phone that had, it was a slim red phone. And he said it gets MP3s, it gets radio. And he said you can watch videos on it, and people would watch SpongeBob on it, and you could barely see the screen. Of course, it was probably larger than the Video Now screen. It was like it was a very slender screen. And he would watch some videos on it and play a few games. And then the PSP was out, the PlayStation Portable. Sony tried to market that as a phone as well, where they had a portable phone. I remember the Sidekicks, Hit Me on My Sidekick. There was a song made by Soulja Boy, who also was like the first internet rapper. I remember him, he was a big deal in 2007 through 2010. And every time something new came out, like ringtones and downloadable ringtones and all that, he wound up doing it. I think he was the first one to do all that stuff, I believe. But I remember his CD came out, and there were these portable CDs, portable disc CD players that you would carry around, carry your discs in a foldable pouch, just like the DVDs when you wanted to watch DVDs. Then when I got a laptop, which totally quit on me, they all just really kind of messed up on me a lot. But electronics did that to me, still do. But I would carry DVDs to watch. That was before using a smartphone as a mobile hotspot. You couldn't just do that for streaming. You couldn't just watch everything on the phone or a tablet. DVDs, Blu-ray discs, all that. You had to have that. Then I remember Blu-ray players came about, and they were the hot new thing. Blu-ray players having 1080p, and they would even upconvert your discs and make them higher quality. Your DVDs, they looked better. And even if you were streaming a lower quality movie, which took forever to load, by the time you actually got a commercial, I remember there was like Hulu had commercials, and it was then Hulu Plus, and it was new at the time. And by the time you started to watch a video, it kicked you off because the internet was so slow, and it wound up having to start over after the commercials. So, but that's how the internet was. Carrying a portable boombox was a fun thing. You could carry a radio out there, and when I discovered how to rip different CDs and put in the computer, and you take the songs you wanted, your favorite songs, and put them over to a disc, a readable, writable disc. And it was like a mixtape back, it was a new version of the mixtape. But that all for me really didn't happen until 2010 era, because we didn't have internet till then. I had gotten a computer in 2006, and I even had an old type of computer in elementary school, 2003 and 4, but it had no internet access to it. In order to look up maps and things, we had to use MapQuest, a disc with MapQuest on it. And you put in that disc, and the roads and maps weren't updated, but you could still look, it's best to the best of your ability, look up the roads. And they had these portable, just all kinds of portable things, that like that Sidekick right there, and let's see what else. MySpace was a big deal. I still have a PlayStation 2. Napster, that Napster symbol, those disposable cameras. I remember all this stuff. And Bop It, that Bop It thing. That robot dog. That was an iPod. I think iPod Shuffle. But I remember MP3 players. I never did get an iPod. I wanted an iPod Touch, and I got it, but we didn't have internet, so there was no use in it. So just send it back. Anyway, these things people just don't even realize how things have changed. Then it went to thumb drives and SD cards. micro SD cards and then streaming. But things have changed so much that I remember people actually gathering together. People would actually converse, not just staring at a screen. People actually did live in the moment. And there were things that the feel that you cannot explain, just things that you can't explain. The feeling at school when they had a free day, they were playing their Xbox One, and I would watch them play that. I never really was into it, or even a gamer. I never was a gamer, but I did watch them play Guitar Hero, and I remember them playing the Xbox, and I was told, if you want to get anything, get a PlayStation 3, because it has a Blu-ray player in it. And it was just the era of things and how they changed so quickly. And I remember having a free day when I was little, and I could hear that these these kids were listening to a song they really weren't even supposed to. I remember "Yeah" by Usher, and there was another one from Shrek though that was "Hey Now, You're an All-Star, Get Your Game On, Go." That one right there. That's by Smash Mouth, All Star by Smash Mouth. Rest in peace to that lead singer. He passed away. But the era was just so different. And I remember when I put the music in my ears, listening to that song, Sydney had let me listen to her iPod Nano, and it was on a free day. And the feeling you got when you found out you were getting a free day, and they wheeled the TV in. It was one of those big heavy TVs with a VCR DVD player in it, or if it didn't have a VCR in it, there was a tray below there that carried the VCR, and they had it plugged to the TV. And then when you heard that or saw that, you knew there's a feeling you can't explain that it was coming, and your free time was coming. And I remember they played Monsters Inc., and there was another one they played Chicken Little. Interesting fact is when I was in elementary school, when they were playing Chicken Little, and they said, the sky is falling, right then a major tornado was coming. And we got put into lockdown, and everything around got destroyed. But the school didn't, and we remained safe. Mama actually she was coming to when she heard it was coming, she came to the school. She drove there, and she had to leave the vehicle running. They told her to get in the school. Get in. Let's get to the basement. Everything around was being destroyed, and that tornado was following her, but she missed it, thank God. Yeah, it was just, and the only way they could talk, no cell phones. Landlines were all down, so people couldn't talk during those tornadoes. And so you'd try to stop here and stop there and get a landline to work, and it was impossible. Everything was down. And the parents would talk on a walkie-talkie. The ones that were there were speaking on a walkie-talkie and saying that it's coming back, the tornado's coming back. And it was going right over the hill, destroying everything. And that was the only communication they had, was through a walkie-talkie, because everything else was down. And at the time, there were no mainstream cell phones. I mean, that wasn't widespread. But the era just felt different. It even felt strange. We had, I think on a Friday, we had one day where we would go to the computer room and play games and learn how to use the internet and learn how to use computers. And it was just a thing it was new at the time. And children now just seem like it's part of them. I mean, it's like, well, I mean, I've become that way too, but it's like technology is like a part of me. But they say that children now know how to type before they can even talk, which is super weird to think about. But anyway, what do you think about times then versus now? being born in 94, I feel like it's just something that just, it's like insane to think back on. That we lived through an amazing era. Not just the cartoons and the shows and all of that, which I'm sure if you grew up in that era, I'm sure you'll remember all of this. All of what's on the screen right here. But it's just, it's really crazy that time has changed and things have just gone, things have just moved so quickly. Alright. Anyway, that's all. Just thought I would document this. I remember even when you went to the doctor's office back then, they let you watch TV. They'd have a TV, or you could ask for a certain VHS, and they'll in there and in the cabinet, and then they'll put it in and let you watch it. Or they'll let you change the channel on the TV to watch what you would like in the doctor's office. They had cable TV, but not now. Now it's got to be health and all that stuff. When you go to the doctor, it's got to be some program that they put on. Not health every time now, but still, it's just whatever they choose. Used to, you could watch what you wanted. But things were just different. People felt more, there was more of a closeness to humanity back then. Some people now are totally insane. But anyway, alright. It's just, I just wanted to know, what era would you revisit if you could? Signing out. Links below if you'd like to show support. Times are insanely tough. Wish we could just go back and just relive the glory days. Well, when we weren't really aware of life's craziness. Well, we were, but I don't know. Alright, anyway. Signing out, and God bless.